What's up guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be installing some downpipes on our 2014 BMW F10 M5. So let's get a before sound and then we'll go ahead and get started. And of course we'll get an after sound. This is a cold start. The only mods up into this point is a intake that I actually made because I didn't want to spend $429 on it. I'll show you that here in just a minute. And then we did a custom muffler delete and a custom set of quad 3-inch inlets to 3.5-inch outlets. And that's about it. Sounds pretty good, but we're going to definitely make it louder. This is the V8 twin turbo S63TU. Sorry for all the leaves, it's a freaking mess. There's the intakes that I made. I actually just took the stock air box, cut this neck off of the stock air box, bought these 45-degree elbows, and then these long cone filters, both sides of course. And then these cars seem to run better when you unplug both MAF sensors. It's essentially a MAF delete. Until we can get it tuned anyway, the people over at Burger Motorsports actually recommended that, and it does run good. It just throws the check engine light, of course, but nothing dangerous to the motor or anything like that. So with this car, this is a hot V formation. The turbos are actually located right here and right here, and the downpipes of course would be right behind that. Pretty easy to get to. The first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and remove this engine cover. It just has 4 grommets and then it pops right off. Then we have access to our downpipes. Right there you can see the stock downpipes and the O2 sensors here, and then there's an O2 sensor over here and over here as well. This is one of your DME, this is your other DME. We'll have to move our coolant reservoir for the water to air, move our DMEs, remove this brace, then we'll remove our heat shield and O2 sensors, and then it's a V-band on each one. Go down below the car. There's a couple bolts to loosen, and then they should slide right out. It shouldn't be that bad of a job, but I'm still quite dreading it. I've not done this before on this car, so this will be a first and definitely a learning experience for everybody. So hopefully this goes pretty well. So we actually went with the Catless VRSF Downpipes. You can see they have the spot for the O2 sensors there and there. Mounting tab. The stock ones have a mounting tab right here somewhere. We won't be reusing that. And then I went ahead and got the gaskets to replace the stock ones there. Overall, for $600, I think this was a pretty good buy. However, I'm not that impressed with the overall quality of the welds. I do think that they'll hold no problem. But some people say they love them, and then some people say that they hate them. I guess I'm right in the middle. I definitely think it'll get the job done. But we're going to also wrap these so that we can keep some heat down and hopefully keep the heat out of the engine bay as much. This is the exhaust wrap we went with, and then I'm just going to secure it with some hose clamps. I don't particularly like the little wires that hold them on, or the thinner version of these pretty much. I would just prefer to use these. I think it's going to hold better over time, so I guess we'll go ahead and get to wrapping these. So I'm really hoping that this is enough to do both of them because this was $50, and I'm pretty sure that it is because it looks like there's quite a bit there. I just got this from O'Reilly's. I know I probably could have got it cheaper if I ordered it online or a better one or whatever, but I think this will definitely do the job that we need it to do. Well, I got one done. Just need to put another clamp on it right here just in case. And it turned out pretty good. First time ever doing this, so I'm pretty happy with that. I double wrapped it. Hopefully that's okay. I assume it will work twice as well. But I guess we'll see. But it looks much better double wrapped than it did with just one wrap. And I had it extra, so might as well. Well, hopefully I have it extra. I have, you know, this much left. Alright, what we're going to go ahead and do first is pull these DMEs out of the way. They have these little rubber grommets just like the engine cover did, and then you just pull them off and there you go. Then we've got a ground cable right there. That's a 10mm that needs to come off. Same thing on the other side, also a 10mm and needs to come off. And then we've got this, which is just this one bolt here, then we can move it and set it out of the way. Okay, I got those ground bolts off of there. Make sure whenever you put this back together, you definitely don't forget that. But if you look down in there, there's some Torx bolts right there and right there. I'm only going to show you just one side because obviously it's exactly the same for both sides. But now we're going to go ahead and take those Torx bolts out so that we can get this center strut out that holds the DME. Yep, I dropped a bolt. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and take out these top O2 sensors. Just unplug it. Make sure you remember which one's which, even though they won't fit each other, but make sure you know which one's which on each side. I want to go ahead and put them into the other downpipes just so I don't get them mixed up. We're going to use a special tool for the O2 sensor because there's not really much room to work with there. This is what the socket looks like we're going to use. Basically you just fit it right over that and then put your socket in there and take it off. Alright, now we're down to the bottom sensor here. Also, whenever you take these sensors out, make sure you don't touch the very end of them or smash them on anything. But just pull this right here off, this little clamp, pull it back, just like that. And then we'll pull this little heat mesh back, and then we'll do the same thing with these. Alright, now that we've got the O2 sensors out, there's 1, 2, and let's see, I believe there's another one under here. Yep, there's 3 bolts holding this heat shield on, so we'll go ahead and take those off now. And of course that's for each side, 3 bolts on each side, so 6 bolts total. They're Torx bits. So this is something willing to note that I hadn't seen in other videos, and it's this little shield right here for your PCV valve so it doesn't melt. Take your PCV valve off, and then there's 2 bolts. Can't really see. There's a bolt there and then one right beside of it. That also needs to come off. Here is the driver's side, those 2 bolts right there, and then that gives you access to the 3rd bolt on the heat shield. Those bolts were surprisingly easy to get to, just using a short extension. Actually have room in here to work with, surprisingly. There's the heat shield. And you can see where these coolant lines, I've actually replaced these coolant lines because they tend to dry rot and leak all over these turbos. So while these are out, I'm going to give it a good cleaning so I don't ever get that smell again. But yep, there's the cats. Next thing is, there are 2 bolts right in here. Let me see if I can get a lot. Okay, those 2 bolts right there, and then 2 bolts down there, and then of course you got your V-bands. So I guess I'll go ahead and get all that loose, and then we'll get up under the car, take it loose under there, and then we'll take them out. Alright, so I've got all of those bolts loose, and it has a flex pipe down there so it does move a little bit, but I'm gonna have to get under the car now and go ahead and loosen it up down there, and then they will pull right out, or they should anyways. Alright guys, finally got these downpipes out. This little bracket, you're gonna have to remove it. There's pretty much like no way around it, but it goes right here and then it gets right in the way of everything. So I went ahead and just removed that, and then I wanted to clean up everything right here where it did have that little coolant leak from those lines being dry rotted. And then here is the driver side downpipe. I'm going to go ahead and fit it down in there after I get that cleaned up, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, we're running into an issue here. It seems like the downpipes are having a fitment issue. It's not the worst off in the world. I can make it work somehow, I'm sure, but if you look, this side is all the way down how it's supposed to be, and this side over here has about 1/8 of an inch gap, and that's not good. So I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I've tried everything. Basically it just needs to go this way a little bit more back there, but it won't. So I'm not really sure what to do, but I'm just going to keep working with it and see if I can eventually get it to fit. So I'll keep you updated. Alright guys, I finally got those on. So that pretty much took longer than this entire job has, just making those fit correctly, which I still wasn't able to make them fit correctly, but I was able to get them close enough and then use the V-bands to basically pull them on the rest of the way. Kind of disappointed in the fitment, but I think it's going to work. I really freaking hope it'll work. But yep, there they are. Now we're going to go ahead and put the O2 sensors in, and we're going to go ahead and start putting everything back together. I'm going to still use the heat shield, and everything's going good otherwise, but I guess we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, here's the heat shield on. It's pretty awful fitment. I actually had to cut the heat shield for the upper driver side to fit, and then the upper passenger side, I cannot get the mesh to fit on there as well. I tried to work it the best way that I possibly could, and yeah, although it may not be very pretty, this is about the best it's going to get. With the heat wrap double wrapped and then this heat shield still on there, it should significantly reduce the engine bay heat, which then would reduce intake temperatures and all that stuff. But this is the point I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and put the everything back together, and I'll just keep you updated. Alright guys, looks like I've got everything back in, all the bolts back in place, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We're going to do, it should be cold since I didn't run it very long earlier. So let's hear the cold start. Well, from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like the computer is too awful happy about being catless. So we'll probably have to get it tuned very soon. Yeah, so there's that. I guess we'll take it for a spin.